Hey, Christina Marie Anderson here, owner of Wandersoul Co., a web development studio packed with personality. And I am here today to talk to you all about how I just burned down my sales process as I knew it and started over with a more streamlined system that I think is going to have a huge impact on the way that I am qualifying leads for my business. So, first up today, I want to talk to you a little bit why I decided to make this change, what the catalyst was for making this change. Then I want to talk to you about what I'm doing instead now that I have changed things. And then I'm going to let you know a few tips that you can use to decide if changing your sales process is something that you need to do also. Because I want to be very clear up front, this is not something that everybody needs to do. But it's a good exercise to make sure that what you are doing is still working. All right, first up, let's talk about how I knew that I needed to make a change in my sales process. And number one, overall, is that my sales process was not working. Period, full stop. It was not working. And what this looks like for me, what I mean specifically by not working, is that the leads that were coming into my business were underqualified and weren't ready to make the investment. And by underqualified, I mean they didn't have the basic information that they needed to be able to make a decision about investing in a website. And full transparency, you can see it directly on my website. My website design projects start at $4,250. Understand that's not a small chunk of change, but I've done the work to make sure that I am providing that much value back to my customers. And what I've been seeing is clients coming to the table and not knowing that that's what a website costs and not even knowing where they could begin to gather that kind of money. And I should say potential clients. And so to me, that signified something was going wrong somehow in the process, that I was not qualifying these leads enough before getting on a call with them. And I obviously don't ever want to waste someone's time. And I certainly don't have time to waste myself. So I knew that I needed to create a process to make sure that people knew that I was the right choice for them and that they could afford my rates before we ever even got on a call. So that kind of leads into number two, just getting clearer on qualifying my leads before we're meeting face to face. I do free 30-minute consultations to make the decision. I call it a vibe check. Really, I'm trying to make sure that this is a project I want to work on and a person that I want to work with, a person or a business that I want to work with. And that's 30 minutes of my time gone and 30 minutes of this person's time gone if we are not the right fit, or not just not the right fit on the vibe level, but if they don't have the budget or if I don't have the skills to accomplish what they need done, then we have just completely wasted time. So I want to make sure that I'm qualifying leads, giving as much information as possible before I ever even get on a call, so that the potential client doesn't feel like, doesn't leave an interaction with me feeling like they wasted their time. So the third thing that made me realize I needed a change in my sales process was the lead life cycle that I'm currently seeing. And the lead life cycle in my business has typically been very short, and I offer web design days. Like, I move websites very quickly. And what I'm finding is that people are taking a lot longer to make that decision. And they're taking longer because they need to know that they're not making a bad decision with their money. People don't have extra money to be investing, and they have to make sure that they are utilizing the income, the investment funds that they do have to the best of their ability. And so this takes a little bit more of that know, like, and trust factor up front than I've previously seen in my business. And this kind of goes, we all know that sales in general are down. People don't have as much buying power with interest rates being up. And people are holding tighter to their money before they're ready to invest. So I also knew that the things that I did 2 years ago to gain clients when sales were up, people had extra money to spend, had to change in order to accommodate what is currently going on with the potential clients that I want to work with. And then the last reason that I knew that I needed to make a change with my sales process is to create a better client experience. And this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I have spent a lot of time in my life in the luxury client experience sphere. That is where my background is. And I realized that after I rebranded my business and changed up who exactly I want to be working with, going for clients that have a higher budget, but that need to know they're working with a professional. I really wanted to make sure that my client experience was what those customers need. And so I realized that changing things up a little bit was actually going to make for a more luxe client experience for those people that I do work with. Now I want to get into what I'm doing instead, the new process that I'm using in my business to better qualify leads, create that luxury client experience, meet my clients where they're at in the lead life cycle, and ultimately create a sales process that is working for my business and for my clients again. So, what I had before, let's start there. I have always, since the beginning of my business, been a big proponent of getting someone on a call at the earliest possible opportunity. And the reason that I wanted to do this is because like I mentioned, do have that background in luxury client experience. I was a group sales manager, basically booking large wedding transportation for couples, but typically they're wedding planners in Colorado. We were located in Vail, Colorado, but did weddings in Denver and Boulder and back and forth. And so I knew from my experience that if I can just get on a call with someone and talk through the problems, chances are we can find a solution that I can then handle, that I can turn into a project and charge this client for. So I've known from the beginning that getting on a call, listening to a client's needs, and giving them the information back that they want to hear was going to be a sales tactic that I could use in my own business. And in fact, that's basically how I started my own business, was by taking all of that sales training I had and starting to sell to my own clients. So I always went, my go-to was to get someone to book a call. And recently, if you've been following along at all, you'll know that I rebranded my business earlier this year and also rebuilt my website. And while I've had a few leads come through the website since I relaunched it, it's not as many as I would have hoped for. And I have this inkling that what's happening is people are a little intimidated about getting on a call. They're not sure if they're ready to get on a call. They're not sure that they have all of the information, and they're not sure if they know me, like me, or trust me yet. And now you might be thinking to yourself, well, Christina, they're on your website. Why don't they know those things? And just from what we know about typical consumer behavior, consumers are not reading every line of copy that I have painstakingly placed on my website. They are not scrolling even half of the pages on my website. Right now, it's even more difficult for people to hand over their email address for that freebie because people are tired of that cycle of getting something free just to be sold to. So, as much as I would hope that a lead was ready to book a call and had already looked at all of the pages on my website before they actually scheduled that date on my calendar, I know that that's just not how consumers are acting. And, there's sort of standards that you build your website to, and also there's what consumers do. And those are not concentric circles. hopefully they're a Venn diagram. We never want them to be separate circles, but basically what I knew was that people were not getting all the information that they need from my website. And certainly I can change some things on the website itself to better organize information, which I did. But what I really wanted to do was find a way to make that book a call action less intimidating and make people feel like they really knew everything they needed to know before getting on a call with me. And again, making sure that I am saving them time as well as making sure I'm not wasting my own time. So what I've decided to change to, I have gone ahead and left all of the book a call buttons on my website. If you click a button that says book a call, it will take you to another page. And on that page, I have some really candid language. So on that page, it says, wait, just one more thing. And then I go into a little bit of the detail that I'm talking right now with you in this video. I tell them that leads have not been even looking at the prices on my website before getting on a call. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I want to make sure they have the information that they need. So from there, I ask them to fill in a form. Now, this form asks for their first name, their last name, their email address, and their website if they have one. So I wanted to make it a simple form, but a form that gives me enough information to know who this person is, go do a little bit of recon, check them out on Instagram if I can, look at their existing website and see if there's someone that I even would consider the kind of business that I work with, mostly being impactful female founders. So there's some easy ways to disqualify people from the list of people I work on, right? So from there, they are automatically directed to my pricing guide. And on this pricing guide, I have a couple of things. I have a video introduction that is 1 minute long, literally 60 seconds. I tried to make it shorter, but 60 seconds was as short as I could possibly get. And I think that's a reasonable length to ask someone to watch at the top of this pricing guide. Right under the pricing guide, I have an easily navigable menu, and each of the buttons goes to the corresponding service. So it says web design, consulting, white label work, or book a call. Once you click on one of those buttons, considering the service that someone is looking for on my website, you are taken to that service, and it has just like a snippet overview of what's included and the price. That's really it. I want people to know the kind of work that I do and what it costs to have that work done. Then from there, if they feel like, yeah, this seems like a good fit, that's my budget, or that's within my budget, or that's lower than my budget, awesome. They click book a call, and from there are able to go all the way to the bottom of the page where they can, in fact, book their call. So in the past, I didn't feel like adding these extra steps in was worth it on either end of the deal. I wanted to get as many people moving into my sphere of influence as I possibly could, because I was pretty sure I could connect with them on a call and sell them on the project. But now, what I know to be true is that my potential clients, and if that's you, I hope this describes you to a T. My potential clients are people who don't have a lot of time. They have a budget, but it's not a huge budget. And they need to be really well informed about where they are spending their money, making sure they're not making a mistake. So, in changing up my sales process, I'm making sure that these very busy business owners have all of the information that they need in front of them in an easily digestible manner. Again, it's like 5 sections on a page. It is the easiest landing page, not a lot of design fluff. It is just there for informational purposes. And making sure that they can see that information in a clear and concise manner, and from there decide if talking to me is a good idea. And you might be thinking, well, aren't you potentially cutting people out by doing this? And the answer is yes, absolutely. I sure hope so, because again, I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. But I would also counter that by saying, I don't think I'm actually cutting anyone out here. What I think is I'm opening up the opportunity that I could get someone's first name, last name, email address, and website in my inbox just to know they've looked at the pricing guide. And that gives me the opportunity to follow up with them instead of, flip side, what I was doing before. If they landed on the book a call page and they were still too intimidated to book a call, I've lost them. I have no record of them being on my website. I have no way to contact them or even know who they were. So from here, I'm giving someone a lower barrier to entry. Hey, I just need your name and your email address. Drop those here. You can see my pricing. And in the past, I've also thought that this was somehow exclusive, or like it excluded people. And I mean, I guess like I was right. Like I do want to exclude people who don't think it's worth it to even look at the pricing guide, who look at the pricing guide and know that we're not a good fit. I don't want to talk to those people. And no offense if that's you. I'm happy to talk to you in my inbox. Shoot me a message. Let's be friends. But I have to separate the people that I want to communicate with and the people that I want to work with. So that is what I am doing in order to combat, my sales process not working, sales in general being down. I am making sure that the process that someone is going through on my website really reflects who I am, what I do, the quality of my work, the value of my work. And if after seeing all of that, they want to work with me, then we are like a million steps closer to closing a deal than someone who's a little bit cold, doesn't know my pricing, doesn't know their budget, and who hops on that call with me. So if you take anything away from this call, know that closing doors, aka disqualifying leads, saying no, I don't work with those people, it actually opens up so much more time and space in your business for the opportunities that are meant for you. So if you take anything at all away from this video, make sure you take that little tidbit away. But also, we're going to get into a little bit more about how you can decide if you need to revamp your sales process. In order to decide if revamping your own sales process is something that you need to consider, I've come up with a list of 5 questions you can ask yourself to inform your decision. There's a bonus question at the end. All right, so the first question that I want you to ask yourself is your sales process working? Are you continuing to see sales? Does your sales process align with what your ideal clients are looking for? And if the answer to those is yes, if you're still seeing ideal clients come through the door, they are booking calls, or they are signing on the dotted line, or they are purchasing services through your website, then you don't need to revamp your sales process. 100%, you're good to go. Keep it up. You're doing a freaking fantastic job. The second question, or I guess I should say, if not, then keep listening. All right, number 2, the second question that I want you to ask yourself is, do you have any data that you can study? So in looking at reasons why someone might not be booking a call or might not be purchasing a service, you can look at the way that people are navigating your website. You can look at how people are interacting with your website in order to know where sort of like those roadblocks are happening. Now, not everybody has this data readily available to them. There are tools that you can use like Google Analytics, Google Search Console. You can add a tool called Microsoft Clarity to your website, which collects user data based on how someone navigates your website. And you can see like recordings of people navigating your website. You can see heat maps of where people are spending their time. So there are ways to collect that data. So if you already have that data, that's fantastic. If you don't have that data, I would suggest you start setting those different things up, because then next time someone asks you, do you have data? Can you see what's behind this trend on your website or with engagement on your website? You will have somewhere that you can turn and make some inferences based off of what you're seeing there. So if you have data you can study, certainly do so. And if you don't have data you can study, see about setting some of that stuff up for a few months so you can gather that data. The third question that I want you to ask yourself is, what are the industry trends? What is happening in your industry? Are sales up? Are sales down? If what's happening in your business is completely opposite of what's happening in the industry, well, if the industry is down, that's awesome for you if you are able to keep things going and are not falling victim to that. But if it's the flip side where industry is up and you're still falling, somewhere not getting as many leads as you want, that's a red flag that something might be going wrong in your sales process. And you can also pay attention to how other people are conducting their sales processes. Now, I'm not saying you should go copy someone else's word for word or, step for step, but signing up for someone else's pricing guide or asking someone that you admire in your industry, if you can pick their brain, these are great ways to make informed decisions for your own sales process. The fourth question that I want you to ask is, if you decide you want to revamp your sales process, are these changes that you can make yourself or changes that you need to outsource? Because either way, it's going to cost you something, right? It's either going to cost you the time to implement or it's going to cost you the money to outsource to an implementer. So knowing the answer to that question is going to help you understand if you have the budget to make these changes or if you have the time to make these changes for your business. And now the fifth question, with sort of a bonus question attached, is how risk averse are you? And I ask this question, and I want you to ask yourself this question, because making changes in your business is scary. When things are on the rocks, it's really easy to cling to what you have done in the past in hopes that it will carry you through, but it won't always carry you through. So you have to know where that line is for yourself about making very large changes to the processes in your business. And if you feel like, if it utterly fails, if you feel like you can bounce back from that, or if you don't take the chance, can you continue to make it work? So the sort of bonus question here is, can you afford not to take risks? If you cling so hard to what has worked in the past that you never find time to move into the present and never find time to build a process that works in today's world, you may not be able to sustain your business. So it's really important to understand your line for taking risks, but also consider that opportunity cost of what happens if you don't take the risk. All right, 5 questions, that's 10. 5 questions to ask yourself to decide if you also need to burn your sales process to the ground, or more likely tweak some things in order to see higher conversion rates on your website. This is a big topic. I recorded a long video on this today. So drop your comments below or shoot me an email at hello@wandersoulco.com. I want to know what you think about this and what steps you are taking in your own sales process, given what is going on in the industry, in the world right now, that people are not spending as much as they were 2 years ago. So again, drop your comments or shoot me an email. I'd love to hear what steps you're taking for your own business.